Hey, how you doing? This is RJ. Today I want to continue on with my series about heroes, and each of these videos that I'm doing about heroes this week is going to have a completely different topic about heroes. I'm going to try to tie in my last video, but today I'm going to talk about heroes as symbols. Now, one of my first videos that I did was to go over an old X-Men where it showed the history of Captain America and Wolverine meeting for the first time. And when they met for the first time, Wolverine looks Captain America up and down and says, "That uniform's kind of gaudy, isn't it? I mean, you kind of stick out a little too much." And Captain America's answer to that was, "Yeah, of course I do. Because it's a symbol. I'm a symbol. The uniform makes me a symbol." And I think that's a really good way of looking at superheroes and looking at comic books. To look at not just Captain America as a symbol, but all heroes, superheroes as symbols. And that feeds in to the way that comic books actually work. Because a symbol is meant to be simplistic. It is meant to convey a message to you. It is meant to draw out a truth, and then it is to use simplistic means in order to do that. And the one that comes to mind that's really readily available to everybody is a stop sign. You know, a stop sign is a symbol. It has a definite shape. It uses definite colors. And if you were, let's say, in a different country where they used a language that you are not familiar with in any way, doesn't even use the same characters at all, and there was a stop sign on the road, you would know that it's still a stop sign, even though you couldn't read the words, because it would have a definite shape and definite colors, and it's nice and bright, and it uses the red and the white, and because of that, you know that it's a stop sign. That's what a symbol is meant to do. A symbol is meant to be simplistic in a way that makes it almost universally, if possible, universally understood by everybody. And comic books are the same. They use simplicity. When you look at a comic book, you know, it's drawings. It's not pictures. It's not photographs. It's not meant to be photographs. It shouldn't be photographs. It was built upon the idea of drawings and simplicity. In some way, those drawings are symbols themselves. They draw out in your mind, in the background, something that you don't have to think about, because you automatically connect it with the symbol in your head of the building that it's showing in the background, or something of that kind. And I would say that heroes themselves and superheroes themselves, the foreground, are the same. They're meant to be symbols. They're meant to use these simplistic ideas like heroism, and that is a symbol for you so that people can universally understand it, and that it can appeal to as many people as possible. And that's part of the reason why I hate modern coloring, because modern coloring uses so many gradations that it's hard at times to pick out the difference between the foreground and the background, and it steps all over that simplicity of a comic book that is part of the medium of a comic book. When you had older coloring, you had maybe half a dozen colors, and you had to use them sparingly, and you had to use them right so that your background didn't interfere with your foreground, and your symbols of your heroes popped, and you could understand them, and it's automatically accessible to your brain already as you read the story. And so I'm always saying that way that the art and the story can pull together in the same direction, and that's what makes a great book. But SJWs are trying to step all over this. Just like modern coloring is sort of stepping on the actual medium of comic books, if you ask me, SJWs are trying to do the same in their own way. They're trying to step on that medium. That simplicity draws out greater truths through these symbols. And it's not hard to see why they do this. In my last video, I was talking about the fact that SJWs, you know, just like socialists and communists, because SJWs are pretty much just the useful idiots of socialists and communists, you know, they and all of their philosophy, their ideology, is based upon them saying, I want to be able to do whatever it is I want, whatever it is I feel like, and have no consequence. That's really the root of these kinds of ideologies. And in order to do that, they have to get rid of objective truth. And I didn't mention this in my last video, but there's a really simple reason why they need and want to get rid of objective truth, is because their ideology and their philosophies don't stand up to reason and logic even from the beginning, even from the get-go. The idea that there is nothing but subjective truth is a self-contradictory proposition. If you apply reason and logic to it from the very beginning, it takes the wind right out of it, and you can see that it's wrong and that it has no actual reason backing it up. It's only based upon feeling. So these people who sponge these kinds of philosophies like SJWs, they have to get rid of reason and logic. They have to, in order to propagate their ideas and their ideology, because reason and logic shows you that their ideologies are just fundamentally unsound. And people like socialists and communists have been trying to get rid of reason and logic for a long time now, and they've done a spectacular job on the most part. And the reason and how they try to do it is by trying to tell everyone that language has no specific meaning. Words cannot have a specific definition. Words just have a definition of whatever it is you feel like. You can put whatever definition on a word that you feel like. Now, reason and logic depend upon language being specific and definite, and there being definite definitions for things. One of the three basic laws of logic is a thing is what it is, nice and simplistic, and they build upon that. That is to say, a thing is what it is, so you can give something a definite meaning, and that's what the meaning is, and you can't play around with that. But if you get rid of the idea that you can actually put a definite meaning on a word and language, then you get rid of reason and logic itself. And so these SJWs and socialist, communist kinds of people, they can propagate their ideology because they're basing everything on feeling, which basically what is subjective truth, and nothing but subjective truth is just feeling, whatever you feel like, and so that they can propagate their ideas. So the thing is that language itself is a symbol, right? When you write down a word, every letter that you put down, that letter is a symbol. It's not the actual thing. When you speak a word, that's a symbol. It's not the actual thing in itself. So part and parcel of what these people have to do in order to propagate their ideology is to get rid of symbols. They have to get rid of simplistic symbols. It's part of what they have to do in order to get their way. And so they step all over symbols in every way that they can. And that's what SJWs are doing with our comic books right now. They are stepping on the symbols that make comic books accessible to its audience. They're making these new quote-unquote heroes, so they're not actually connected to any of these old symbols, like heroism itself. You know, these new characters, again, I won't call them heroes, call them characters like Kamala Khan or America Chavez, you know, they're not connected to the symbols of heroism, or they're not connected to the symbol of hero itself, or any of these other kinds of things. They just do what they want to do, and they're trying to make these, because they're ideas in a mask, that's what they are, and they're trying to make these ideas in a mask accessible to the reader through emotion and nothing but emotion. So they're unmooring them from any of this old symbols that heroes and superheroes were connected to. And that, at the same time, is why they are trying to tarnish all of the older heroes, because all of these older heroes, like Captain America, are connected with definite symbols. Captain America and Superman, you know, truth, justice, and the American way. You know, these symbols of these heroes draw out that greater truth of truth and justice. And that's what they're meant to do. So they have to step all over that. They have to try and destroy it as much as they can. That's why they made Captain America a Nazi and said all of his history, he was just a Nazi, he was just pretending. Because they're trying to muddy the waters so that you can't draw out any greater truth from this symbol, because they can't stop him from being a symbol because he's been around for so long. So they need to muddy the waters so much so that you can't actually tell what he's trying to symbolize, so you can't draw out any greater truth than that. It's like driving through the woods. If someone put up a stop sign that was camouflage, you're going to blow right by it because you can't tell that it's there. The symbol is still there, but you can't tell the difference. Just like modern coloring of comic books, you know, the gradation is so intense that you can't tell sometimes the foreground from the background. It confuses things too much. It steps over and on that simplicity that is the basic core of what comic books are trying to do so that they can appeal to as many people as possible. And so they have to step on that. They have to make Captain America a Nazi. They have to take Spider-Man and Peter Parker and make him into an effeminate idiot, because Peter Parker is a symbol of long-suffering redemption. That's what he is. They got to get rid of that. They got to muddy the waters so much that you can no longer actually see that symbol, see them for that symbol, and draw out a greater truth. Because again, a greater truth is something that would say that there is objective truth, and they're all about getting rid of any ideas of objective truth so that everybody just follows their emotions so that they can get to do whatever it is they want to do, whatever it is they feel like doing, without having any consequences. And that's why they're killing our industry, because not only with these newer characters do they have no symbolism, do they have no connection to heroism whatsoever, but they're taking our older heroes and they're tarnishing them at every turn. They're trying to tarnish them and to make sure that you can't use them for the symbols that they're supposed to be. And then when they do that, they're also stepping on the genre of comic books itself, because it's built upon simplicity and use of symbols. And that's why they're putting out these quote-unquote new books for quote-unquote a new audience, and no one is buying them, because they're just destroying not only their base of customers by giving us bad stories and by destroying our old heroes, but they're stepping on the genre itself, because they're trying to muddy the waters so much that the simplicity of comics, and it is simplicity that is the essential part of what draws in so many people, is that so many people can understand and draw out from these symbols that are in these books a meaning which is greater than what is on the page. And since they are muddying the waters so much of these symbols, nobody can draw that out anymore. And if nobody can draw it out, and it's just confusing and at the same time bad, by the way, then no one wants these things. You're getting rid of all of the older people that want and love comic books. Yeah, I think that's part of what they're actually actively trying to do. But at the same time, they're trying to appeal to a new audience. But this new audience is not coming forth, because they are actually working against how a comic book itself works. And that's why and how these SJWs are killing our heroes, and through killing our heroes and the idea of heroism, killing the comic book industry itself. All right, so that was today's little rant about heroes and heroism. If I gave you anything new to think about, hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a message, give me something, leave me a comment, give me something new to think about. You can also share this video. That would be great if you shared it. My Twitter is in the description. You can just go there, and I post all of my videos there. You can hit retweet really quickly in order to share this video, and hopefully we can share these videos with as many people as possible so that we can use these ideas to try and make our comic book industry better. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.